Life is so busy, if you blink, you can miss something amazing. It's important to take a moment and enjoy what we have and the people around us. I'm Mo Hagan, Chief Operating Officer for CanFit Pro, and welcome to A Moment with Mo, a podcast where I will welcome some incredible guests to talk fitness and nutrition, mindset and self improvement, setting your goals into action, and much, much more. Now let's get chatting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 12, A Moment with Mo. October is World Mental Health Month, and our conversation today is in alignment with this year's World Mental Health Month theme, which is Mental Health Matters and Conversations Matter. So that's exactly what we're going to do today, have a comprehensive conversation around mental health. My guest today is to have this very important conversation is my very dear friend, Lynne Brick, who I'm going to welcome into the show right away. Hello, Lynne.
Hi.
And the reason I usually introduce this and then bring my guest in, but we have so much to discuss today. I do want to let everyone know that Lynne, amongst the many reasons why I wanted you to join me in my podcast, I couldn't think of a better month to have a conversation with you around the theme of World Mental Health Month. You are the co-founder of the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation, whose mission is to change the way the world treats mental health. And I'm so grateful for your time. I want to say to the audience and those listening, and Lynne, I know you know this, but there might be something you don't know about what I'm about to share. You know that I've always said you're my first mentor in the fitness industry. Your passion and your motivation inspired me to pivot my full-time career in acute medical health, which is as a physio in the ICU, much like you did in the 80s as well. And that is you pivoted from being a trauma shock nurse in Baltimore and you entered into the fitness industry full-time. I was always inspired by your courage to step into your passion amongst many passions, but to do it with your husband, Victor Brick, and be partners all of these decades in your multiple businesses is to be applauded. And I'm just so, I'm lost for words, but impressed by how you've been able to build your business over the years with your husband and your partner of many businesses. Today, we're going to dive into the business of mental health and wellness, which I'd love to share with the audience for those who may not have had the opportunity to know you or work with you. So for all of those who have not met Lynne Brick, allow me to share a little bit more about her bio. Lynne, you started in the career of the fitness industry full-time in 1985 when you co-founded Brick Bodies in Baltimore, Maryland, with your husband, Victor. And that is still a business going strong today. And then, of course, you have also built many businesses since then. When I first met you in the fitness industry, I actually hired you as the very first presenter that I've hired, and I've hired thousands over the years, but you were the very first presenter I ever hired to come to Canada. And you came and you trained group fitness instructors. I'm not sure if I've got the date right, but it was either 1987 or 1988. That's how long we've been friends.
Yeah. And while you are breathing, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm honored and blessed to be with you here in this moment. Yes, we've had a long journey together, but yeah, I think it was 1987 or 88 when I first met you. I knew Patch first.
Yes.
And then he invited me to come up and meet you and your team. And it was just an incredible journey. Our lives have paralleled in many, many ways. Mm-hmm. And I feel so honored to, again, be here with you.
Well,
so
thank you.
You can continue.
Well, thank you. And it's a great segue that you mentioned Patch, which is my boss and the owner of many companies, CanFit Pro, Good Life Fitness, Econo Fitness here in Quebec, Canada. And then, of course, Fit for Less, and then companies that align with some of the work that you do in the South Pacific being Australia. But one thing I said that changed the trajectory of my career has to do with you. And that was after a sabbatical, when I traveled the South Pacific, I came home and Patch, who had been trying to convince me for a few years to leave my full-time, very secure job in healthcare to join him in his adventure of Good Life Fitness, said to me, Mo, what can I provide to you that would allow you to agree to my invitation? I said, I want to be the Lynne Brick of Canada. That's what I said to him. And he says,
Oh,
I can do that for you. And that was like the golden buzzer that made me say yes to his offer to join him in the fitness industry full time.
wow.
You know that?
I don't think I knew that was the impetus that inspired you to join the Good Life team way back when.
Yeah.
But I do remember the very first conference because it was I think it was a school gym.
Exactly. The Boys and Girls Club, to be exact.
Oh, that's right. It was the Boys and Girls Club. How fitting. And boy, we just had such a great time. And Patch did every single class, every single workshop, every single session. He was just right there, right next to you.
And he
And
still is. And he still is.
glued to your hip. But
Yeah.
so it's been quite a journey. But I wanted to, talking about courage. I was a nurse and a dancer. Victor was a coach and a teacher. And after Vicky was born in 1981, in 82, I wanted to get back into dancing again and had taken some dance classes. Meanwhile, an opportunity arose for Victor to take teach classes to overweight people. And it included didactic education for weight loss, as well as movement. So movement to Victor Brick, the athlete, was, running around the track, skipping rope, playing sports. And when all the participants were expecting him to teach an aerobic dance class, kind of Jane Fonda style, jazzercise style, that type of thing. And he ran out to his car, had the only piece of music he had. It was a like Simon and Garfunkel cassette tape. We're talking in the early 80s. So he played it, and they were all hitting each other in the head with the jump ropes, and it just was not working. He had what he calls a flash of brilliance, an FOB, flash of brilliance. Like, wait a minute, my wife's a dancer. I'll get her to do this stuff. So the very first class that I ever took was the one I taught.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that happened in 1982. And as things progressed many years following, a couple of years following, then we had the opportunity to purchase our first club. We had quite a following for the aerobic only business that we were running in several different clubs in the local market. And we had never taken a business class before. So we didn't even know what to wear the first day of work at our new job. Meanwhile, I was 9 months pregnant with in 85 with our son. So I have a tendency to do everything with a bang. So yeah, it was August 19th, 1985. Our son was born. I mean, we signed the lease to show up to work.
Born.
Yes. And John was born in October, but meanwhile, that little gap between August and October, we were just so lost and confused and crying ourselves to sleep. And the crying continued for a couple of months. And Victor's dad, whom we borrowed $125,000 from in order to purchase this club, came up, and he was like the knight in shining armor. He just said, we said, what are we going to do, Dad? What are we going to do? Like, we don't know anything about how to run a business. And he just looked at us with a very serious look on his face. And he said, well, we're just going to work a little harder. Oh, wow. And that message stuck with us. And there are several other events that happened. And we just had a watershed moments where we changed our attitude from, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Or woe is me to we're going to do everything we can, come hell or high water. We're going to make this thing work, and we're going to work it until it's very successful. And that became our mantra for several years, and leading up to the point where I first met you in Canada.
Wow. Wow. And that is so important, attitude and belief and courage. And I loved what you said, you reached out to a member of the family to ask for insight and you got such great advice. And what I'm so impressed by, and I said this off the top of the show, is how you cried together, celebrated together, traveled together, and you continue to do all of that. I don't know about the crying part, but you continue to travel together, work together, and you've reinvented yourselves so many times as your family and your businesses have grown. I also remember the first time I met you internationally. You were presenting on stage, and then when I got to know you a bit and saw you again in action, Vicky and John were just toddlers running around the Nashville Convention Center. And that was the year Step came to the world. So we have such a history of firsts. And we're going to talk about a couple of those firsts today as you are embarking on many new things, but also in the space of mental health and well-being. And for those, again, who are meeting you for the first time, Lynne, you're so humble, but I'd love to just share with listeners and our viewers that you yourself, as well as you and Victor, have received numerous awards over the years for your impact on the industry and your influence and your success. And I just love to share a few of those because I love giving the stage and to celebrate women. You were also you were part of the first Women Who Influence event. Again, giving stage to great individuals, women specifically. If we have time, I'll tell you how Women Who Influence has reinvented itself also. But I do want to share with everyone, you were a multi-award winner in the fitness industry, in the business world. And for someone who said you hadn't taken a single class in business, for Lynne to then receive the 2004 Ernst & Young Maryland Entrepreneur of the Year, like, hello, that is all about working a little bit harder and doing it until you are successful. And that is proof right there. Edification, in fact. You're also the 1990 IDEA Instructor of the Year. I think there was an award in there somewhere with Victor as well. You are in 2008, you were the first woman inducted into the Baltimore County Chamber of Commerce Business Hall of Fame. And of course, you are the co-founder with Victor of Ohana Growth Partners, which is a phenomenal name. And I know it has deep meaning. I'd love you to share with the audience a bit more about that. But Ohana Group Partners owns and operates Planet Fitness clubs throughout the USA and Australia. And then, of course, you and your husband have received numerous awards in that business for brand excellence, including the inaugural Judgment-Free Zone, which when I saw that, I thought, of course, Victor and Lynne received such an award because that's part of been your philosophy since day one. And that was something I learned as a presenter from you when I came down to present at Brick Bodies the week before my wedding. I was way more nervous to present for you than to get married. And at that point, I remember you talking on stage about, learning to become your best, but not judging yourself by others that would lead to losing your passion because you're so busy suffering comparisonitis. You really talked about non-judgment back then. So again, an incredible career. And what I'd love for you to take us through is you told us a bit about the journey when you started, and I've shared a little bit about your accolades. Could you bring us sort of to date to where you are today and where your focus with the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation, and then we'll jump into the newest project that you're leading.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And accolades are one thing, but it's and awards and certificates and all this kind of stuff is really one thing. But what really speaks volumes, I think, is the actions. The actions speak louder than words or plaques on a wall. And so while we started this journey in 1985 with Brick Bodies, we had determined that we were going to really focus on the local market and grow that brand locally so that it was something we could, we were from Baltimore. So Brick Bodies of Baltimore, it just had a nice ring to it. And we could really service the communities that we served. And we built that brand over multiple years. Let's see, from 1985 through 2007, we built that brand to 7 health clubs. And meanwhile, our daughter became part of our team. Our son also became part of our team. And we actually, before they became part of our team, we sent them on an international journey. As I know you've had lots of international experience yourself, and you can learn so much by exploring, right? Exploring and seeing what other people are doing and learning, being a sponge and learning best practices of how people have grown their business. And our roundtable participants like Patch and Renee Moose and Rasmus Ingerslev and Tony DeLead and Philip Mills and some of these other really incredible multiple health club owners were mentors for our children. So they came on board and were part of our team for a period of time. But our son decided to move on to a different industry. He decided to move out of the Baltimore area in 2014 and moved to San Francisco. Now he's in the tech industry. So he's no longer part of our industry, which is, I love that he's spread his own wings and is exploring a tech world. Our daughter, however, Vicky, had been part of the team and worked her way up through the system, starting as a manager, a membership counselor, and then she evolved into a manager position and evolved into eventually becoming our CEO for Brick Bodies. And here's the reason why. In 2007, we had this beautiful opportunity to purchase the franchise rights for Planet Fitness, which many people would think, why Planet Fitness? Well, because not just the judgment-free zone, and I love that you mentioned that, but because they help the other 80% get off the couch and engage in movement and physical activity, many of which it's the first time in their entire life that they've ever engaged in physical activity. So it's, oh my goodness, it's been quite the journey. And so it took from 1985 to 2007, more than 22 years to build 7 clubs. Since 2007 to now 2023, we have built 76 plus 15, over 91 clubs throughout the US and Australia with the Planet Fitness brand. And it was scalable. There were philosophical reasons why we thought this is a really golden opportunity to reach many more people. And what also impressed me the most, we had women-only clubs. We, as part of the Brick Bodies brand and Lynne Brick's Women's Health and Fitness. And I was very passionate about the classes and personal training. And that's not what Planet Fitness offers. But I was so impressed that people of all ages and stages, women, people with abilities and disabilities, they all felt very comfortable engaging in the Planet Fitness brand and coming in and working out. And I just thought that was incredible, an incredible opportunity to make a huge impact, a huge difference, and really to help save more people's lives. Because really, that's what we do, right? In our industry, we help to save lives.
Wow. That's amazing. And really, you must feel so proud because, again, you have the opportunity to save so many people's lives that we wouldn't, potentially you wouldn't have been able to reach in the work that you do at Brick Bodies, but now it's just expanded the opportunity. And again, just the incredible. I mean, do you ever, I think about this from time to time, more often lately, is when we actually stop and think about what we do and how it does save lives. I have instructors lately who have stopped me as we sort of see each other passing through to teach our classes. And they're like, I never really thought of just how important what we do is in people's lives until I hear stories of people who have fallen ill, and yet they could have potentially prevented that diagnosis if they had found fitness earlier in their life, and fitness for whatever illness. But we often just take it for granted because it's our passion job, it's our career, and we're just so busy saving lives every day. We stop to think of the fact that we really are saving lives and impacting people's lives and improving people's lives. It should help us sleep very well at night.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, it's really, truly a blessing and a gift that has been bestowed on each of us in the fitness industry to be able to share our knowledge, our expertise, and more importantly, just our energy. And as you said, the word passion. I love that word passion. What you just mentioned just happened to me last night. I was at a fundraising event for someone that was reelected or running for political office locally in the state of Maryland. And two people came up to me and said, "Well, I have to tell you, you saved my wife's life." And she was standing right there and explained her story of having a massive heart attack. And she said, because she had been a loyal Brick Bodies member, that her heart condition, she was able to survive that massive heart attack. And now it's thriving years later because she had such a strong foundation. And I think that's really, you think about a foundation, building a house, right? Building a house, you have to have that strong foundation in order that the house can be stable and strong, sustainable, and resilient. If you build a house without that strong foundation, whether you're healthy today, and if you experience a health mishap or some kind of situation tomorrow, you get that diagnosis of cancer, or you get a diagnosis of diabetes, or whatever the situation, your foundation is strong enough to overcome it. And our journey has been an incredible blessing because of, I call it the 6 F's, right? Our faith. We're Christian, faith-based organization, and not just because it's part of our personal culture, it's part of our business culture too. Our faith, our family, our friends, our fellow associates that work closely with us. We are so blessed to have an amazing team, and many of which have been with us for decades, I'm sure, as you've experienced as well. Our fitness, of course, and fun. So it's faith, family, friends, fellow associates, fitness, and fun. And those are the 6 F's that I rely on as my foundation personally myself.
Oh, wow. I love that. I think we should all find what our foundation philosophies or steps that we rely on as a guide in everything that we do and the decisions we make and what we choose to invest our time, money, people in. That's absolutely incredible. It's almost the foundation of our purpose, which is our why. And so I encourage all of you to think about what yours might be. Lynne, thank you for sharing that. I love that. I'm gonna permanently borrow that concept.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome to take it wherever you want to go with it.
Thank you. So, as I always say, when your ears are burning, it means I'm speaking very positively about you. I want to navigate to our conversation around mental health and well-being and all that is part of that continuum. As I mentioned earlier, you and your husband co-founded the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation. For those who may not be familiar with it, I encourage you to check out my latest blog on my website, where I actually speak about some your Mental Health report. It was a fantastic report. I built it within my Mo's 5 reasons to pay more attention to your mental fitness. And this was published in 2022. I really encourage all of you to read it. It is, it is part of what you're creating as you're dedicating this foundation and your work with your team to destigmatize and enhance mental wellness. And then you have a latest initiative that I want to learn more about myself and please share, is the Mental Wellbeing Association. This is the first association in the world focused on mental well-being. And I know you have a lot going on there. It also, really anchors your commitment to this cause. So can you share with us, for our listeners who may not know about your foundation and your association, and do tell us more about that and the mission behind each?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's been quite a journey. In 2009, when we received a call that Victor's older brother passed away due to complications of schizophrenia. And it wasn't really the disease that took his life. It was the complications of the disease. He was the big three: medication, institutionalization, and psychotherapy. Those are the big three, and the traditional ways that folks with serious mental illness, how they're treated. And he had been in and out of the best hospitals, psychiatric hospitals in the United States. And when Victor's father arrived one day to pick him up to take him to his next doctor's appointment, psychiatric doctor's appointment, he found him physically on the floor. And when we went to the funeral a few days later, it was only immediate family that came. And Victor and I just turned to each other and said, that was the saddest funeral that we've ever experienced. And Brother John was such a gifted and talented person. And we vowed at that moment to make his life be remembered in some way. We weren't sure exactly how at that time, but we vowed. And then in 2015, when Brick Bodies was celebrating their 30th anniversary of being in business, we decided to launch the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation. And its purpose is to change the way the world treats mental health. Because we figured that due to the big three, there's got to be another way. There's got to be a better way that's really holistic, integrative. And so that was our motivation. And how do we do this? We do this by integrating self-care approaches such as mind-body practices, exercise, and nutrition into the healthcare delivery system by improving mental illness and promoting mental well-being. And that is how we do it. And we either fund research, and we promote programs and services, and then we work as a collaborative hub. So all of this is on our website, johnwbrickfoundation.org. But we have been very busy gathering this collaboration with many organizations. And we are so honored that you are a part of our big initiative. It's our 4th annual Move Your Mental Health event that just happened. It's the 10-10. This year it was 10-10-23. It culminates on World Mental Health Day on the 10th of October for the past 4 years. And we were so honored you were able to share your slow-mo, I call it slow-mo, yogic movements with breath work. And it was just so beautiful. And so thank you again so much for being part of that event. But it started October 1st and then ended on, like I said, on October 10th. And it was really a 10-minute challenge every day for 10 consecutive days for people to move their mental health. We had all different kinds of other presenters, like from sound bowl therapy to breath work to high intensity interval training to strength training and simple movements you can do in your home or anywhere. No equipment necessary, no music necessary. It was just basically kind of getting into your body to move in such a beautiful way that then your mind becomes engaged. But that's only one little thing we do. You also mentioned the Move Your Mental Health report, which if you go to resources, it's a drop-down menu on the johnwbrickfoundation.org website, you'll see the entire report, which is over 130 pages long. No, we're not asking you to read that and be engaged with that. You can read the executive summary, which is only 10 or 11 pages long, and get the basic gist of what this summary is all about. But what it is really over 1,400. Well, with our foundation, we thought, well, maybe we'll just do research ourselves. But then we discovered that, wait a minute, the research has been done. There's evidence-based research that's been published. And so we had a review team, and they reviewed over 1,400 research papers over a 30-year period of time.
Wow.
Which clearly indicated that, yes, movement is very important for not only mental fitness, but mental well-being and mental health. So 3 distinct terms of terminology that we like to share. So what it really summarized in that report, and now you could dive deeper into the report, and it's very interactive. So if, like, for example, you're curious how indoor cycling is affected or can be help with depressive symptoms or anxiety, you can click on specifically indoor cycling, and it can pull up all the reports that explain more detail of how specifically it was measured. And, it wasn't just anecdotal, it was scientifically evidence-based information. So there's a whole conglomeration of reports that are on this entire encapsulated report, but we narrowed it down to the summary, and the summary was basically this: movement definitely helps, especially with depressive symptoms. What kind of movement? A combination of strength and cardio done in 30 to 45 minute sessions for 3 to 5 times per week. It's very helpful for depressive symptoms. And especially when people are able to work in their, in what we call the Yerkes-Dodson law of positive stress. Work in that sweet spot zone where they are engaging in positive stress. Now, positive stress means different things to different people. Walking at a faster pace could be positive stress for person A, or running at a faster pace could be positive stress for person B. So we have to meet each person where they are, and then have a conversation about, tell me how you're feeling in the moment. Are you breathing heavier? Are you, how's your pulse? What's your heart rate? And just tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And that's the beautiful thing about mental fitness, is that this URSA report really it was Clearview that discovered that, traditionally in the health club industry or any type of workout program, what is the biggest reward that people try to achieve? Years ago, people used to try to get bigger or get smaller, right? Lift weights or do cardio to lose weight. And that is completely shifting now, because the number one reason why people will exercise is for their mental well-being. And part of the reason why that is happening is because, think about the traditional model. When we first started in the industry, you would exercise, 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 exercise. And then maybe after a month, you'd lose 1 to 2 to 3 pounds, right? But the new model is exercise, reward. I feel better. Exercise, reward. I feel better. Exercise, reward. I feel better. And that is the paradigm shift we're trying to teach about the entire industry regarding mental fitness.
Wow. I love that. And I imagine, I'm thinking about, in the past when it was always exercise, 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 because the goal was this measurable, get bigger or lose weight. I imagine along the way there was feel better, reward, but we were so busy focused on the bigger goal that we missed all the, positive reinforcement and the mini awards and gratification along the way, because we're so focused on the physique and aesthetic part of fitness that we forgot to even focus in on how did it make you feel. I can say, in the fitness industry, as I started, it was very much focused on the earlier part, not what you're talking about today. And even when I was younger, and I always chopped it up to being, a very energetic, somewhat hyperactive kid. But my mom would always say to me, Mo, go have a run and then we'll all have a happy Easter. Mo, go for a run. We'll all have a happy Christmas. Mo, go for a run. It'll be a better day for all of us. And I never knew what she meant. Was I go run because I wanted to run, but it was this part that helped me feel better and be happier. I didn't understand it. I guess my mother understood it, and of course she did. She was a nurse, but I'm so glad that we've at least arrived here where fitness professionals are engaging in this part of health and wellness and not just the physical part. And it still is a lot of information. I too read the report, just want to let everybody know the way that you recommended it, Lynn. I took the executive summary, but I will tell you this, I have committed to get on my spin bike here at home for even 10 minutes. I was inspired by your 10 for 10 because I thought, I feel so much better up here in 10 minutes that it just changes how I feel the entire day. And
Wow.
I've used the philosophy now for, 10 minutes at a time doing something. And I learned that, or it was reinforced to me through the report. And then I loved how interactive it was. Of course, you could dive into your areas of expertise depending on who you are. But it was so practical. And again, your efforts in leading the world with this to help more people embrace movement as medicine. Without it, and we are prescribing it. Canada does now prescribes physical activity for their health. It's just embracing more doctors to do that. But thank you for that. And thank you for sharing. You did mention a lot of terms. You mentioned mental fitness and mental health, mental well-being. You also shared with me prior to our discussion today, the dual continuum.
Mm-hmm.
Could you maybe clarify the terminology that we hear? Is mental fitness and mental health and mental well-being?
Yeah.
How are they different? And what is this dual continuum about?
Yeah. Well, traditionally, all professionals really thought of mental well-being as being, or mental wellness as being at one end of the continuum, like basically little or no mental health issues, and then mental health issues or serious mental illness being on the other end of a horizontal continuum. And really, what that really is mental health, mental wellness, mental illness are really all about a pathogenic or medically based continuum and
Okay.
approach. But now there is a dual continuum concept, and this vertical continuum really goes from flourishing to languishing, or languishing to flourishing. And you could be anywhere on this continuum, whether it's you're healthy and well at one end of the continuum, but you've just received a diagnosis, or let's say your spouse has received a diagnosis that they have a terminal illness, and you could be flourishing at the top, but then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, you're languishing now. And at any moment in time, you could transition from being mentally well, but then dropping into a languishing period of time. And that's life. I mean, we all have our ups and our downs, literally, our ups and our downs, and our easts and our wests. And there are, at any period of time, you're not put into a label, but this shifts and moves based on life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important for all of us, especially in the fitness industry or health club industry, to understand. This vertical continuum is really our lane. Why? Because it's all about salutogenic self-care approaches. And if you think about, you're familiar with the yin and the yang model, where there's a white space with a little black dot and a black space with a little white dot. They work synergistically together, right? They integrate. And that's the way we look at the dual continuum. It's as if healthcare is integrated with self-care, and self-care is integrated with healthcare in such a way that they work synergistically together and truly integrative, not alternative, because we're not advocating to focus only on self-care instead of getting medical treatment if medical treatment is warranted. We're focusing on things you can do today and really to be proactive to prevent mental health issues. And here's the reason why. We all know that the world is in a mental health crisis. But what many people may not understand or realize, that we're at the beginning of a mental health renaissance. A renaissance. As you mentioned, in Canada, medical practitioners are starting to embrace this concept of trying to get people to move more, to move their mental health. Mm-hmm. So, that's the dual continuum. And then if we look at different terminology, wellness and illness are usually more medically, pathogenically based. whereas salutogenic, self-care, well-being is a state of general health, which we all want to achieve. So that's hence the reason why we like to use the term well-being. Well-being.
That
Mental,
is
yeah,
brilliant.
thank you. And mental health, of course, is part of the pathogenic. And we honor and respect, and we need to work synergistically with the medical professionals. Victor and I currently sit on the Johns Hopkins Board of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And we explained to the dual continuum that the doctors there are like, we've never heard of that before. So we're excited to share this with so many people. And we learned all this because Victor is very much involved with the Global Wellness Summit, specifically the initiative on mental wellness through the Global Wellness Summit. And there are physicians and all different types of medical wellness practitioners that are part of that initiative, the committee, and they came up with the dual continuum. It's absolutely beautiful and brilliant, I think, in my opinion.
Well, you're the best teacher ever. And I did do a little research last night. I found some work out of the Queensland that talked about it. But for the way you explained it, I know that's going to be new for many of our listeners. I certainly got an amazing education on that. And it actually, I totally understood the vertical and how it integrates with the horizontal. And then when you use the yin yang analogy, that was brilliant how it just integrates. But and where our space is in this whole dual continuum, that again allows us to be in our space within our place, but it have impact and are truly an important role. We're not just thought about sometimes, but we really should be thought about all the time and work truly as a team. And that's what I think you mean when you say we're entering into this mental health renaissance, where it's going to be an awakening of understanding how everyone has a role to play. And imagine if we could all peacefully and positively work together and understanding what our roles are and how to complement each other. I think that's also one thing I love about what you've shown the industry is how to bridge the gap between physical health, mental health, total well-being, and how you have also navigated different paths in your career, showing other fitness professionals and health professionals the way.
Well, thank you. And I bet you dreamt of this convergence of the two worlds when you were working your butt off in the ICU as a physio. Because I certainly did when I first, still working as a shock trauma nurse and then starting the business of a fitness only, aerobic only business. And I just kept thinking to myself, again, there's got to be a better way. We have to learn to prevent illness and disease. We can't just be reactive. We have to be proactive. Yeah. And how cool is that the word proactive includes activity?
I didn't even, oh my God, that's just aha. I love that activity and that proactive. Yes, we could chat for hours, I'm sure, about how we probably broke a few rules in how we approach patients with our proactive mindset. I certainly got into a good sense of trouble at times. So for those who want to learn more, follow you, work with you, Lynne, on some of the initiatives through the foundation and your new association, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, they can go through johnwbrickfoundation.org website. There's a info at johnwbrickfoundation.org. They can connect with me on my Gmail account, which is lynnegbrick@gmail.com. Easy. And I know I'm on Facebook and Twitter. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a search. It's LYNNE brick, BR, like a brick wall, BRICK. So if people want to learn more information about that. And we're just excited about the Mental Wellbeing Association too. And I know you asked the question, I don't think I actually answered, because we officially launched just on World Mental Health Day on the October 10th this year, that it's going to be coming. And what that is going to do, it's going to house, it's an initiative, first of all, it's an initiative of the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation. So it is going to house the certifications that we are creating for different industries. The first one being fitness professionals, yay! And we partnered with Inspire 360, which many of you may know is Peter and Kathy Davis, who started IDEA many years ago. But their two kids, Jason and Kelly, are leading the way, and they're phenomenal partners with what we've done so far with our new association. And we are creating this platform to monitor and provide not only educational material, but provide continuing education credits and house all kinds of information so that we have the one-stop shop for information about mental well-being. But we have assembled some of the world's most renowned educators and physicians, especially functional medicine and integrative medicine physicians, to provide the scientific evidence-based information. So we have didactic track, and in addition, for many of the modules that we offer for the certification, we also have practical application. For example, how to work with someone one-on-one versus a small group versus a larger group. So, and we focus on our big four, which is exercise, of course, and movement, nutrition, mind-body practices, and connection. Those are only 4 of the 10 modules that we're offering. So there are other modules that include, like, for example, ethics and collaboration, coaching and communication. So there are a lot of other modules that are very critical and all evidence-based on how to be the most effective practitioner.
Wow. Wow. I'm so excited. I took notes, and I actually would love to put out to the universe that more will be coming our way as the fitness industry about the opportunity to take this certification. And I look forward to the opportunity to connect with CanFit Pro and yourself. So I'm just putting it out there because you know what? You just got put out to the universe, because then it's listening and it will direct you in. You know, as I learned recently from a mindfulness expert, Keith McPherson, it is actually a Hawaiian term, which, you know, at the right time, everything's meant at the right time. Or as Keith said, things happen perfectly as they should at the time that they should happen. Mm-hmm. So I can't think, it's 3 syllables, but I can't think of the term. But if you look at the perfect time in Hawaiian, it will come up. But yeah,
we'll have to explore that, because as you mentioned before, the name of our company for the Planet Fitness brand it used to be Planet Fitness Growth Partners, but corporate had mandated for all the franchisees to remove Planet Fitness from their business entity. Well, I understand. So when our daughter Vicky was going through her chemotherapy for ovarian cancer, that was a moment in time where we were more closer to that mental wellness side of the continuum, and we were flourishing. But Victor got the call. I was with Vicky at the time and read the report from her surgery, and then Vicky called Victor, and the report said high-grade serous carcinoma on every single tissue sample that was biopsied. We went from flourishing to languishing in the blink of an eye. Mm-hmm. And that's when we really, really depended on our support system, and all that we gathered as much information as you can, you know, because what fills the gap between the known and the unknown? It's fear, if you let it. So information is very powerful and very comforting, right? It's part of that foundation too, to help you build your resilience and your strength. And anyway, so it was devastating. But when she was in between her 6 rounds of chemo, we needed to recharge ourselves. And we went to Hawaii. And Victor's, when we got off the plane, well, Victor actually spent 5 years of his youth growing up in Oahu.
Right.
So when we got off the plane during that period of time, 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago this time of year, Victor said, I'm home.
Oh, wow.
And then that we wanted to infuse that aloha spirit into our culture. And that's what we were like, oh my goodness, that aloha spirit it's actually, I don't know if you know this, it's a law in Hawaii. The aloha spirit. It means mind and heart work together to embrace and love other people. Because aloha, a lot of people think means just hello or goodbye.
Yeah.
It's much more than that. It means love. It means I see you. I'm here with you. I'm present with you in this moment. So, and then it was also that trip that we discovered the word ohana.
Oh.
And ohana means family. When you are not with your ohana, your family, we are your ohana. And when we're not with our ohana, you are our ohana. So that's why we came up Ohana Growth Partners. It's part of our culture. It's who we are. And we absolutely, the team absolutely loves it. It's great. Whenever we have our team huddles, everyone wears leis. And when we do any kind of a special event or a grand opening, it makes everything so much fun and festive. And it's really been a great journey.
That's perfect for the culture is right in the name of your company. Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm looking for the word. And I know that our producer here in the background gave me a word for what I'm thinking for the right thing. Kia oli is the Hawaiian word for doing the right thing, the right way, at the right time, for the right reasons. That's
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to steal that one too from you.
So it's K-I-N-A with a line above on the A, and then I'm sorry. Yeah, then a apostrophe O-L-E for those that are interested in learning more about that. And again, it was a great segue to sharing some of your Hawaiian culture with us and the meaning of it, and that the fact that aloha is a law. I love that. And that is, by the way, the definition of a law, being that I'm married to a lawyer, he tells me the law is a guiding principle. It's black, not white. It's a guiding principle. As we wrap up today, thank you so much, Lynne. And it's been just an incredible, not only educational, but really revitalizing conversation. I do want to ask you a final question. And this is for you. It's a question I've asked each of my guests this year, 2023, as part of the theme for our 30th anniversary at CamFit Pro. And that is, what is calling on your courage this year as it relates to business, life, relationships?
Wow. The whole 9 yards, as they say.
Right.
What is calling on my courage?
Yeah.
And I've been mulling over that concept for quite some time. But I think it's going with the flow and just being like water, going with the flow, because sometimes life is not perfect, and understanding it kind of goes with your kina ole word for the right moment, the right time, the right concept. It kind of goes hand in hand with that, because we have a lot on our plate, and that's really what drives us. I know some of my friends are like, why don't you just retire and enjoy life? I'm like, because I feel that there's so many more mountains to climb, and so much I want to do to make a dent in the universe, especially for mental well-being. So being like water and flowing with the flow, because life is not always perfect, is And that's the one thing our daughter's cancer, ovarian cancer, has really shown us that, you might not ever be cured of cancer. You learn to manage it and learn to manage don't let the numbers define you. Don't let the diagnosis define you. Just being like water and go with the flow and enjoy the journey along the way. That's a lot. Sorry. That's my back hip pocket courage mantra.
I love it. And it's so brilliant for the conversation we've had. It does. Going with the flow and being resiliently agile and, utilizing your tools and your resources as you need them. That is part of going with the flow. And it also is perfect because it's movement. It's through water, which is an powerful element, not only for moving your body, but for healing, for those who explore the benefits of water therapy. But I think that is perfectly aligned with you and what you're working through and building for the world. So that's A++, perfect answer. And there's no perfect answer, but that is like perfect for you. It's like exactly cannoli as far as the Hawaiian world. It's the right answer at the right time for the right reasons. There you go. So
there
my
you
friends,
go.
as we navigate through the remainder of 2023, Lynne and I encourage you just to continue to explore the potential of mental well-being, not only for your personal well-being, but also as a really powerful driver of positive change in your professional life and your business and for your people that you lead. And this conversation has been incredible and very unique. We will continue this conversation in the next episode where I will be speaking with not one, not two, but 3 guests who were the fireside chat keynote speakers at our closing keynote from CanFit Pro Global. So stay tuned for more information on that. And let's remember that mental health, well-being, mental fitness, it's all a collective, it's a continuum. And now that we've found our space and our place in that, please continue to shine light on this conversation, as that is the important theme for all of us to embark upon this year with World Mental Health Month. And until next time, continue to change the world in the way that you do. Lynne, thank you so much, my dear friend of many decades. I'm so grateful to have you and Victor, and of course, your incredible kids that I'm blessed to know and have traveled a bit with around the world, Vicky and John, and to your entire team. Thank you. We look forward to many opportunities ahead working with you.
Oh, thank you so much. It was an honor and a pleasure. And let's continue to stay in touch.
Bye for now, everybody.